So why do you end up getting alcohol-related brain damage? Well, it's quite simple. You've got to drink enough alcohol to cause damage to your brain. It's nothing more complicated than that. And it becomes a little bit arbitrary, I suppose, when people start talking about, well, how much alcohol is too much? I mean, it's going to vary from individual to individual. We're probably going to find out that there is some genetic element to this along the line, because we find that out with most conditions, which means that some people would be slightly more susceptible than others. But we generally talk about drinking at levels equivalent to over 28 units a week for a woman and over 35 units a week for a man for at least 5 years. If you take a load of people with alcohol-related brain damage and you look back at their drinking histories, that's the sort of levels we're talking about. Sometimes people have stopped drinking and then they notice that they've got some memory impairment, and for it still to be linked to the alcohol, we tend to say that the onset of the cognitive problems have to be within 3 years of the last drink for it to be considered that it still might be related to the alcohol. What else would make people more susceptible? Well, maybe if you've got another process going on in your brain that's affecting your cognitive impairment, then you've got two processes, then it makes it more likely that you're going to get more severely affected. But we do know that women are more severely affected than men. We tend to need a shorter drinking history to get alcohol-related brain damage than men need to. And also there's a link to deprived areas, which might be associated with nutrition, for instance. So some of the damage that alcohol does to the brain can be repaired, and we repair that damage using a really important vitamin called thiamine. And if you're not eating enough thiamine in your diet and you're adding alcohol into the picture, then you're putting that cocktail in there that's going to mean that brain damage is more likely. So poor diet, which may be linked to areas of deprivation, all those things make you at slightly higher risk of developing alcohol-related brain damage. But the most important thing is it's to do with drinking at excessive levels.